welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Liana. Today is a review on the Danessa Myricks Vision Cover Cream in the shade N01. Now, I did already film an intro for this, but I felt like I wanted to refilm it just because I had gone into this thinking that it was going to be a first impressions review. The sample cup that I have is so tiny that I kind of expected that I wouldn't be able to use very much, and so I wasn't sure that I would be able to show you beyond one use what it does. But the thing is, I definitely was able to test it out further than that. I actually still have more left in there, and I've worn it quite a few times now. So what you're going to see is me applying it and a first impression on that. However, after I check in with you at the end of that particular wear test, I tell you that there's more than enough there for me to continue on and test it out further, which is always what I prefer to do with foundations anyway. And it's, you know, it's never really fair to give a final review after one wear test. It's just I wasn't sure if I would have enough product. So I'm going to get into the other part of the video that I've filmed previous to this. And then we'll come back here now, today, after I've experienced this foundation quite a bit, and tell you my thoughts. I got this little sample off of Camera Ready Cosmetics. They offer a wide variety of samples, different foundations, not just foundations, but like cream highlighters, primers, etc. And so I got this little thing, and it's a lot more expensive than what you would think, unfortunately, because I'm in Canada. Everything's more expensive. Anyway, I'm going to knock off a little bit of information to you about this. The Danessa Myricks Vision Cream Cover is $28 for half an ounce, not a standard ounce. That would mean it would be $56 US for a full ounce. And that would bring that up to $73.57 Canadian for a standard full fluid ounce of product, if you want to be really technical about it. And this comes in 25 shades. I have N01, which is neutral for fair, neutral skin tones. So, ordering this off of Camera Ready Cosmetics, this is $4.99 USD for this amount, plus $6.99 USD shipping. You can get free shipping over a certain amount in the US. Free international shipping is like over $150. That's not going to happen. So essentially I ended up paying $15, give or take, for a tiny little sample pot. It's not going to happen again. But I was just really, really interested in trying this product, and I figured, once, okay, I can do this once. The description of this product from the Danessa Myricks website says, envision perfect skin with our newest complexion magic series. Vision Cream Cover is an all-in-one foundation and concealer created with the latest in texture minimizing technology to model the art of perfect skin while defying age, concealment of skin conditions such as hyperpigmentation, and the ability to cover uneven discoloration while appearing like gorgeous skin. What it is, a hybrid lightweight cream foundation that achieves a radiant, silky smooth finish, can be used alone or with our Prism Effects hydrating lotion. User-friendly foundation can be used sheer or built to full coverage. I'm assuming because they give you such a small amount, like half of a standard amount of foundation, that it should be pretty pigmented. Usually they only give you less product if you need less product. Anyway, what it does, formulated with low-density hydrating ingredients that inspire high-impact pigments with featherweight texture, formulated with hydrating and protective vitamin E. This is vegan and cruelty-free. One thing I want to tell you right away is that I don't see fragrance in the ingredients, but it smells quite a lot. Like, it's quite a highly fragranced foundation. I don't know where that smell is coming from. Even looking at the ingredients, usually you can find an ingredient where you're like, okay, the smell is coming from that. I don't know where the smell is coming from. It smells quite perfumey, but I don't know why. So this is what the color looks like in the little jar. I haven't used this before just because there is such a small amount in here. I wasn't sure, you know, how much I would need. So just to let you know that this is going to be my first time using this. Usually I would like to have more time with a foundation before I review it. But, you know, circumstances. So I'm just going to start dotting this on. It feels like quite a thick cream for sure. Okay, so I'm going to start with that. Blend it out with a damp sponge. This color looks like it's going to be really good. Oops, got some in my eyebrow. Oh well. I'll just take a little bit down my neck. And in case you don't know, Danessa Myricks herself is a makeup artist. And you can kind of tell from the different products that they have that it's a very artistry-driven brand. What I mean by that is that they don't have basic eyeshadow palettes in the same vein that some brands do. They have a lot of pigments and things like that. So that is a small layer on this half of the face. I think that it looks really nice. It definitely has a more dewy finish. It's definitely not matte. And I like the way it's looking right now. The color is pretty darn close to my skin. It may not be a 100% match, but it's very, very, very close. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other side. I do not like the smell of this, though. I'm concerned that maybe they do have fragrance in here and they just did not mention it in the ingredients. So yeah, that concerns me as somebody with sensitive skin, that this could be a potential irritant. I'm hoping that it's not, but we'll have to see. And I would know usually after just one wear test with a foundation if it's going to do something to my skin. Oh, it turns out there's going to be lots left in here, so I will be able to let you know after I wear this again. I'll be able to update you on that. Oh, okay, it looks like there's a lot more coverage with a brush. Whoa. Hokey smokes. Yikes. It's just like spreading around a whole lot more than with a sponge. The sponge pushed it into the skin. The brush is just spreading it around and not really blending it into the skin. It's taking some time. It's providing intense coverage over here. Oh my goodness. I'm probably going to end up having to take my sponge on this side to bounce some of this product into the skin, because right now there's so much. I'm not sure what to do with it. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, guys. because that's insane. My face is going to look insane unless I take something to soak up some of that product. So it's looking way worse on this side because that escalated quickly, basically. Oh dear. Oh dear. Getting way more cakey on this side now. So just be careful with that. If you're using a brush, use way less product, I guess. And I feel like on this side it's already starting to do some not so nice things around my nose. And it might be oxidizing a little bit on my forehead. So anyway, I'm going to zoom you in. So I guess both sides are technically sponge sides now, but anyway. This is the side that I did the whole thing with a sponge. I think the color is going to be a problem if it continues to oxidize because my forehead is starting to look darker already. When it went on, it looked pretty darn good. I think I should have used less product overall. I feel like the finish of this foundation is so nice though. In terms of it's glowy. It's very glowy. And then this side, I went in with the brush and everything went downhill. And then I had to soak up some of that product with the sponge. So that's the way that it looks right now. I did get a little bit of a later start, but I can just make up for that by wearing it a bit later. So I will do a few swatches and then see you later. So this is the Danessa Myricks Vision Cream Cover in N01. This is the Josie Marin Vibrancy Foundation in RG5 Dynamic. This is the Cover FX Power Play Foundation in N0. This is the Born This Way, Too Faced Born This Way Foundation in Cloud. This is the Smashbox Studio Skin Foundation in 0.1. And this is the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation in Pale. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm back and I've decided that this is not going to be the end of the video. I want to give this another chance just in case the way that this looks right now is my fault and not the foundation. Because I feel like maybe I did use too much, I don't know. And one of the suggestions they had was to use it with a hydrating lotion. Granted, it says to use it with their hydrating lotion, but I'm sure you can use it with like any moisturizer. So I am going to try it a few different ways. I might insert some footage like here and there, depending on how much I'm willing to extend the video length. I don't want to make this too long. But either way, I am going to come back later and tell you my experiences with this foundation and see if I like it any better. Because right now, I'm not. I'm just finding that it's very, very heavy and cakey on the skin. I think I'm physically uncomfortable right now, to be perfectly honest, which doesn't happen too often. But it is so heavy. It is so heavy. And like I said, that might be my fault. Yeah, and I just want to give this a fair chance. Like usually I use foundations more than once anyway before giving you a review. It's just that I wasn't sure at the time if I had enough to do that, but I do. I definitely do. So that's what it's looking like. I'll also insert a few photos up here that I took in case the video isn't showing you a good close-up. I did take quite a few close-ups of the texture. The texture isn't great right now. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So this is not the end of the video. I'll see you in a little bit. So I'm trying the foundation again, and I tried splitting it half and half with this Joe Fresh primer, which is an illuminating primer. And the majority of my face looks fine, except for my forehead. I don't know why, but my forehead looks horrible. I even have a spot here where it doesn't even want to grab onto the product. I don't know what's happening. And like if I come down to the rest of the face, it's looking pretty okay, but here, what happened? Yeah, so I thought I would just like pop on and kind of update you what I'm trying right now, and it's not going so well. I've already wiped off my forehead once to try it again, thinking, okay, maybe the primer dried too quickly by the time I reached my forehead. That's not the case, it's just not working on there, so I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm wearing the foundation again. I'm wearing a lot less of it, and I didn't mix it with anything. And I think it looks very good right now. I have the right side of my face set with the E.l.f. HD powder, and this side is not set. And I hate doing this, but if I had to estimate how many pumps I used, probably a half a pump for my entire face at the most. I did not use very much at all. And I used a sponge for the entire face. I really like the way it's looking right now, so I'll keep you updated, and I'm still going to be trying it a few other ways. So yeah. So now that you've heard about this foundation, what it does, seen the initial application and wear test, and I've also inserted footage of me wearing it a few different ways. I kind of want to go over my final thoughts on this. So I've done about 5 or 6 tests on it now, which isn't all that bad. That's not counting for if I did something different on each part of the face. So on its own, with a regular amount, that's what I did in the initial test on camera. It works a lot better with a sponge. Definitely works a lot better with a sponge, and I found that throughout all of my tests. The brush just tends to spread around the product. It doesn't blend it into the skin. It's just pushing it around your face, moving it around, but it never sinks in and never blends in and becomes one with your skin. Whereas when you're using a damp sponge, it's actually blending. It's absorbing some of the product, which with this type of product I feel like is really sorely needed. Especially as you could tell from that first impression that I did there. If you use too much of this product, it's extreme coverage, in particular with that brush. Whereas the sponge, like I said, it's soaking up some of that product, and it's not going to look so pow in your face, total coverage. It can tone that down, and you can control it a bit better. Having said that, if you use what I consider to be like an average amount all over the face, even with the sponge, it feels heavy on the skin. I do have sensitive skin. This may not be an issue for those of you who are used to wearing more full coverage products. I just didn't like that feeling, and it does look heavy and cakey as well, and again, I'm not a fan of that. If you were to get up close to me when I was wearing that, you could definitely see that I'm wearing a lot of foundation. Part of that was my fault in the initial application. I didn't realize how full coverage the product is. But it's definitely just not a natural foundation unless you start to work with it a bit, which I did. You can use it on its own with a very small amount. Very small. You'll have seen I described what I thought to be probably less than half a pump for the entire face. Most people use half a pump for half of their face. So to use less than half of that for the entire face, that's an extremely small amount. You can see why I still have so much left over, and this is a tiny cup. So that's for me the best way to wear it. The best way I've experienced this foundation is to use a minuscule amount, blend it in with the sponge, not a brush, because the brush again is just going to swirl it around, not do anything. It does have a nice finish to it. It's not super matte. It does look sort of not ultra dewy, but kind of a soft glow. However, it does crease in lines a little bit. What you can do is make sure to tap that out with the sponge and then immediately set it with powder. That's what I was doing. I was using my e.l.f. HD powder and setting in the areas I felt that I needed to. You can definitely mattify it that way too if you feel like it's just a little too dewy for your preference. Now, I also tried mixing it or wearing it over certain primers. I tried mixing it with my Joe Fresh illuminating primer, and you'll have seen that that did not go well. For some reason, it didn't look that bad on this area of the face. Up here was a no-go. And I don't have a dry forehead. If anything, I would be slightly more oily up there. No dry patches. I don't really have dry patches anywhere on my face right now. So that was just very bizarre to me. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, mixing it with the illuminating primer didn't work. Wearing it on top of the illuminating primer didn't work. I forgot to film that though. And with the Joe Fresh primer, mixing that, I tried 3 times wiping it off of the forehead and putting it back on, so it just didn't sit there for me. I tried a small amount over a water-based primer. This was the Nude by Nature primer that I have. That was better, definitely better than mixing it with a primer. But it still didn't sit the way that I would want it to. It was still better on its own with the small amount. It looked noticeably drier on top of the primer. It did look, as I said, noticeably dry. It looked scaly over my upper lip region. And I then tried mixing a moderate amount with the NYX Pro Opalescent mixer. That's what I have on today. This is definitely the second best option next to just wearing a small amount on its own. The finish is still naturally luminous. It doesn't look dry. However, when you get up close, it definitely looks like I'm wearing something. Whereas when I was just wearing the small amount on its own, I couldn't really tell. This still looks to me a little bit mask-like. I also found that mixing the 2 products together and putting them on my skin, I had a little bit more trouble blending. So overall, my thought on this foundation is that it's way too finicky to bother. That's just my experience with it. Of course, everybody has different skin, and you may not find that you have nearly as much trouble as I did, but to me it's just not worth it. Not at all. So I'm sorry to report that this is definitely the worst foundation that I've tried over the past few weeks, but at least it's color-wise wearable. Definitely the more opaque you make it, the more noticeable it is on my skin tone. That's just because, you know, it is a very full coverage foundation. Full coverage foundations, if they're not the right color, will look more noticeably off as opposed to a sheer coverage foundation. So you wear it sheerly, it looks okay. You wear it, if you wear it full on, it doesn't look quite the same. But try a sample of it. If that's something you're into, you might have better luck. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. I post Mondays and Fridays here on this channel in the afternoon Eastern time. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys!